In 2008, in Santo André, Sao Paulo, Eloa Pimental was 15 years old. She was a student, friendly, fun, and someone who many said could not see the meanness in people. She was born in Alagoas and moved to Sao Paulo with her family as a child. Cristina, her mother, worked as a cook in a daycare center, and her father, Everaldo Pereira, was a security guard. Eloa had a younger brother named Douglas, also a student. When she was in her early teens, age 12, she met a boy who became her first boyfriend. Lindemberg Fernandez Alves, born in Paraíba, was 19 years old, 7 years older than Eloa. He and his family moved to Sao Paulo when he was around 2 years old. Lindemberg worked on weekends as a pizza delivery guy. Due to the age difference between the couple, Eloa's parents wanted to meet Lindemberg in person. They talked to him, instructed him on rules that should be followed, and everyone reached an agreement. In 2008, after 2 years and 7 months of dating, and several ups and downs in the relationship, the 15-year-old Eloa decided that she didn't want to date Lindemberg anymore. This was because Lindemberg was proving to be a very jealous, aggressive person, and she didn't see any hope for a future with him. Testimonies claim that Lindemberg was a stalker, and once even beat Eloa when he found her at a bus stop. Monday, the beginning of the kidnapping. On October 13, Douglas, Eloa's brother, came home in the afternoon and realized that he had forgotten the key inside the house when he left in the morning. But he knew that by the time that Eloa had already arrived from school. He knocked on the door a few times. Nobody answered. He then sat on the steps of the building to wait for one of his parents to arrive. He stayed there for a few hours, and at the beginning of the night, Everaldo arrived. Everaldo asked Douglas why he was sitting on the front steps, and Douglas responded that he had forgotten the key inside the house, and because Eloa hadn't come home from school yet, there was no one there for him to open the door. As he approached to open the door, Lindemberg yelled from inside the apartment,
"Don't open the door! I'm armed. I'm with Eloa and 3 of her friends. Get out!"
Desperate, Everaldo decided to call the police. Those friends of Eloa were Vitor, Nayara, and Iago. They were there to do schoolwork. Earlier, when Lindemberg had arrived at the apartment, he had been surprised that more of Eloa's classmates were there. Lindemberg immediately asked the boys to go to their room. There, he slapped each of the boys and asked them to speak in low tones so as not to alert the neighbors to what was going on inside. Later, Eloa was attacked with slaps, kicks, and hair-pulling. Lindemberg kept saying to everyone who had gone in there that he was there to kill Eloa and kill himself. During the first night, someone passed by the apartment door. Lindemberg, thinking it was someone trying to enter, then shot at the door. Ensuring the safety of the neighbors, the police ordered that the residents of the nearby apartments should not leave the house, and those outside should not enter. The apartment next door was used as a base for listening to Lindemberg's conversations with the police. In one of these conversations, Lindemberg asked to talk to Eloa's mother.
"I'm not releasing Eloa. If she won't stay with me, she won't be with anyone else. She's not leaving here alive."
In another conversation with the officers, he was even more aggressive.
"If you knock on the window, on the door, if you make any noise, I will kill the girls and I will kill myself. I'm good to shoot, bro. I have a body bag here, bro. I'm not lazy. I'm hitting my girlfriend."
"I'm not your girlfriend."
"Shut up.
Ow!
Shut up."
That same night, the boys were released. Tuesday, the release of Nayara. Outside, there were already numerous vehicles, cars, helicopters, police, and TV vans. The channels reported every step of the police's actions, and even broadcast the arrival of weapons. Lindemberg, Eloa, and Nayara could follow everything from inside the apartment, sitting on the sofa, watching any TV channel. In the afternoon, out of nowhere, Lindemberg put the gun in the window and fired towards the street. No one understood why, but no one was hit either. The cops thought they were going to beat Lindemberg out of fatigue, so they decided to cut the power to the apartment at around 4 p.m. However, that did not help. At 5:25, Lindemberg spoke on the phone, very upset.
Turn on that f***ing light there, bro.
I will, but let's talk.
Turn on this f***ing light there, or I will start hitting them. They will suffer. And look, pay close attention.
With slaps, kicks, and hair pullings, Lindemberg kept hitting the girls. At around 10 p.m, the power was turned back on. Police say this was in agreement for the exchange of Nayara's release, which took place at 10:50 a.m.
Leave fast. If you walk slowly, I will shoot you in the back.
Nayara informed them that her release was not just an exchange of favours. Before the release, Lindemberg spoke on the phone to her father, saying that he would have a second chance to be a father, as Nayara had previously mentioned to him that the two had not seen each other for a year. She thought he did it because his father wasn't present either. Free from captivity, Nayara gave some details of what was going on inside. Lindemberg, fiddling with Eloa's cell phone, discovered a new friend of hers named Felipe, and that was the reason, in a rage, that made him open the window and shoot. Wednesday, the television stage. The case became a major national story, and its press coverage was huge. Many say, to this day, that this media attention played a huge negative role in escalating the case. The press paid a lot of attention to Lindemberg. The situation was not taken as seriously as it should have, and became awkward when some TV show host got a contact number and spoke directly to him. The cameras interfered with police actions, and all the attention boosted the kidnapper's ego. The police were getting impatient.
Lindemberg, is everything alright there?
Who is it?
We're a friend of the family and we wanted to know if everything is okay, that's all.
Who is it?
Lindemberg, I'm Luis Guerra, alright?
Who is Luis Guerra?
I'm a reporter for Sonia Abrão. Eloa is with you, right? How is she?
Wait, she will talk.
Put her to talk to us, please.
Hello, who is talking?
Luis Guerra, reporter for Sonia Abrão. How are you? Is everything alright?
Yes, it is. I want lunch. I'm so weak.
Seconds later.
Do you need to send a message to your mother?
I want to know how she is, how my family is. I want to send a kiss to my mother and my father. I want to tell my mom that I love her, and my daddy too. I love him.
This was a short excerpt from a recording that lasted approximately 7 minutes and was shown in full throughout Brazil. A reporter unprepared to make any kind of conversation or interference with a criminal at the time he is actually enacting the crime. And we won't say negotiate, because although many websites and TV shows say reporters tried to negotiate, this is not seen in any of the reports. At the same time, Lindemberg was reaching an indescribable level of power, as he knew he was the centre of attention across the country, as well as always being aware of everything that was planned to be done against him. Because he didn't allow anyone to come near the door at all, after the food in the house was gone, they started to receive food through a rope of sheets that Eloa threw out the window. The police tied up the food, and Eloa pulled the rope back. Thursday. The return. On Thursday morning, Nayara was woken up by her grandmother, saying that there was a policeman at the door to pick her up and take her to a location near the kidnapping to help with the negotiations. She ended up going. In statements, Nayara said that between the options, you go if you want to go, or you have to go, the latter was much more accurate. The agreement Lindemberg made with the police was that Douglas, Eloa's brother, would go up the first floor of the building, wait on the stairs, and Nayara would go up to the second floor. As soon as he saw her outside the apartment, Lindemberg would give a hand to Nayara, and with the other he would bring Eloa, and the three would go out together, meet Douglas downstairs, and everyone would head to the main street. He believed that this was the way he would be protected from the policemen's sights if they tried to do something to his life. Nayara was only 15 years old, and no one from the police asked her parents for her permission to do this. She says that she did not receive any instructions on how to be careful when approaching the apartment, and they did not make clear the risks. They hadn't even asked her if she really wanted to do this. She was just caught and put back in the situation, as was practically demanded by Lindemberg. On the phone, Nayara was talking to the kidnapper as she climbed the stairs to the second floor.
I can't see you.
I'm waving here. Can't you see me?
No, go up higher. Get here to the door and Eloa can hold hands with you.
Upon hearing this, Nayara realized that Lindemberg was no longer fulfilling the agreement because he was the one who should hold hands with Nayara and surrender. However, at Lindemberg's request, she was getting closer and closer to the apartment. The door opened, and from outside, Nayara could see Lindemberg pointing a gun at Eloa. Lindemberg then said,
Give her a hand. Come inside.
And as soon as Nayara entered, the door was locked. In the media, it was possible to see Lindemberg being placed on a pedestal, with them asking him to calm down, asking him to send a message to family members, and even asking him to let the girls appear at the window to let them know that everything was fine.
Lindemberg, if you're watching us, please ask one of the girls to show up at the window and make any sign to show us that everything is fine.
The media interference in the entire process was unbelievable. The news even warned Lindemberg of the crimes he was already responsible for, remembering that he was following everything. Do you think this information would put him at peace?
The penalty for kidnapping is from 1 to 3 years, but kidnapping of minors is from 2 to 5 years. Let's see then how the situation will be in relation to what he will have to answer for what he has done so far.
In one of the TV comments, a lawyer said he was optimistic and hoped that everything would turn out well.
I'm very hopeful. I hope this ends up in a future marriage between him and his passionate girlfriend. This will really have a happy ending, I'm absolutely sure.
Could this really end up in a beautiful marriage? On Thursday night, Eloa suddenly freaked out, starting to scream. Eloa got up and began to break the objects in the house. Lindemberg told her to calm down, grabbed Nayara's neck, and pointed the gun at her head. At that time, the police realized that there were no agreements to be fulfilled by Lindemberg, and they decided to intervene. They asked to be sent a shotgun that arrived in the middle of the night, and that was also shown on TV. Friday. The end. On Friday morning, Lindemberg insisted on knowing who was responsible for the breakup. Eloa said that the only person responsible was himself, with his jealousy, manipulation, and bad attitude. And remember the linen rope made by Eloa? In one of the times the food was delivered, a document was also sent. It was a kind of letter, a contract, made by a public defender who was already responsible for defending Lindemberg. In that document, it informed him that he could turn himself in, and that nothing serious would happen to him. At 5:35 p.m., Lindemberg had the last conversation with the police.
There's a little angel here saying, don't do that. And next to me, there's a little devil saying, do it. Don't let it pass. And there's a little angel and a little devil here. The little devil is telling me, do it. Go ahead, bro. Don't stop.
Clearly tense, Lindemberg dared the police to break into the apartment, which is what he'd been waiting for.
Break that fucking door soon, bro. I want you to invade.
After a few minutes, the police officer discreetly commented with others close by that Lindemberg's words were that of a suicidal person, which was confirmed minutes later by his own words.
I don't have the will to live anymore, bro. I don't have dreams anymore. Before I had a dream of having a family, dream of having a house, a car. I don't want to have anyone anymore, bro. I don't even want to have Eloa anymore. There's a month trying to forget about her. There's a month trying to go out, have fun, distract myself, but I don't care. Something's saying to me, take it, bro, take it.
And finally,
give me a break. I need to be alone. I don't want to see anybody.
Okay then, lie down and rest for a while, okay?
Okay.
4 minutes later, the police blew down the door. After the explosion, it was possible to hear 4 shots. The time between the explosion and Lindemberg appearing outside the apartment was approximately 3 minutes. After blasting the door, the police took 15 seconds to get into the apartment. Lindemberg fired the 3 remaining bullets from his revolver at the girls. The 4th shot was fired by the police, with a rubber bullet against Lindemberg. He did not shoot the cops. 25 seconds after, the police entered the apartment. Nayara managed to leave, alone, wounded with a gunshot wound to the hand and face. After almost 2.5 minutes, Lindemberg was dominated by a policeman. He tried to resist arrest, but then 2 other policemen held him back to try to immobilize him. In the images, it is possible to see a doctor trying to reach the apartment, and on the way he finds Eloa carried off in the arms of a policeman. Eloa was shot once in the groin, and once more in the head. Police said they only broke into the apartment when they heard Lindemberg fire the first shot. In testimonies and interviews, Nayara says to this day that Lindemberg only shot after the police blew up the door. The press and all the journalists who were nearby also claim that they only heard shots from inside the apartment after the police action. Nayara was the first to arrive at the hospital and was without risk of death. Eloa arrived a few minutes later, unconscious, in serious condition. She went straight to surgery and soon after went into a coma. Eloa Pimental died the next day. Lindemberg's lawyer, who had been following the case since the negotiations, withdrew from the position. Approximately 3.5 years later, in February 2012, Lindemberg was sentenced to 98 years and 10 months in prison for Eloa's death and 10 other crimes committed during the kidnapping, but this sentence was limited to 30 years due to Brazilian law. A Brazilian filmmaker named Livia Perez produced a short 25-minute documentary called Who Killed Eloa? In this documentary, they analysed the case from the perspective of violence against women and how the media and police left Eloa in the background. This documentary is available on YouTube with English subtitles, and I'll leave the link in the description below. Can bringing information to the public and interviewing the kidnapper at the time of the abduction be considered a right to information? Does this right come before the right to life? Leave your opinion in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next case.